this how it feels? Have you been doing this all along?
Yeah, you don't have to take that stuff that people are dumping on. You just leave it to the side, you scooch to the side, you watch them
Yes,
go,
like a
and you're like,
Matrix moment. You know how in Matrix, like the moment where when we're, yeah, just like dodge, like
I
a
was just
Matrix
thinking
moment.
that what you said when you asked your husband, why are you so happy? And the happiest people are the ones that can say no, they can say boundaries, and
Yes.
they are okay when somebody calls them selfish for it.
Yes.
They don't believe it.
Words do not matter to the smart boundary setting people who can say no and mean no. Um, Even allowing you to focus on your own plan when you plan something and someone else comes along with a different plan and you forego your plan for their plan, you're putting their plan in front of your plan. That was something that I was guilty of doing as well.
Right. And that makes sense too, because you're wanting to, people please or wanting to
Yes.
make them feel good too. Because sometimes it's just like you want to encourage other people, so you want to give them what they want, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're actually meeting their needs. Do
Right.
you see a lot of this in leadership?
Not with successful, strong leaders.
Welcome to the Resilient Minds podcast, stories of grit, growth, and success, where we dive deep into the journey of successful leaders who've struggled and succeeded. Before the wins, before the titles, what was the mindset behind the leader? On this show, we focus on real stories behind the success, the struggles, the resilience, and the courage it takes to keep moving forward, even when times get tough. My goal is to provide you with stories of hope and transformation, showing that no matter the challenges, there is a way forward. On this show, we'll be meeting with highly successful leaders who've battled through obstacles, emerging stronger and wiser on the other side. This show is for anyone who wants to grow, evolve, and find the light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone's a leader, so together, we'll uncover what it truly means to evolve as leaders, and ultimately, as human beings. This is Resilient Minds.
Hey, I'm your host, and I'm Dr. Campbell, and I am here with Dee Maddox. She is a founder and chief excellent officer of DMX Consulting. Thank you so much, Dee, for joining us. Go ahead,
Thank
can you
you.
tell me what does DMX stand for?
DMX, my name, Dee Maddox, the first letter, second letter, and last letter, demand excellence. We demand excellence to achieve the success that we deserve. I think we don't do what we need to because of a little thing called fear. But when you really demand excellence, then you can achieve the success that you deserve. So I've dedicated my consultancy to helping develop leaders who develop people. And I do that through coaching, assessments, and keynote speaking. And what I hope to do in those sessions, whether it's an assessment, whether it's a workshop, or whether it's just a speech, I want to help reinvigorate the right mindset around the fact that your people are your most important asset. And when you take care of the people, then they'll take care of the business. So if you take care of the people first, then they'll take care of business. So by developing leaders who develop people and make that a priority, that's what I want DMX to be all about.
Absolutely. It sounds like your heart's really into it. So
It
you
is.
can't develop people without people's skills, right? Like you have to be really connected, very intuitive. And
You
you
get
need to
it.
be able to like switch paces. If somebody's moving really fast, sometimes you need to move fast with them. If they're moving
Yes,
real slow, and then you got to balance too, because sometimes people
exactly.
moving way too fast, they need to slow down. People moving too slow, you need to speed them up, right? So
Yes.
you must be a very flexible person if you are coaching people to be able to do that.
Exactly, because you never know what you're going to get. Like, usually people go in thinking one thing, that they have a problem in one particular area. And what I discover when I really get into it is that it's not at all what they thought it was.
Right.
I have had people say, like, oh, it's that person, only to discover that the person making the complaint was really the issue and not the person they were complaining about.
Yeah. I see that a lot too. It's projections. Like, are we
Yes,
lies
that's a
to
good word. Projections. Thank you for that language.
course. Well, it's hard too because if you don't have a tangible word or a term to be able to label something, then we don't know
Mhm.
what we're dealing with because human dynamics are literally invisible, We don't know what's
Oh,
going on. So we have to name it so we can say, hey, don't do that. That's projection, or that's gaslighting, or that's deflection.
oh, 2 words. You're just dropping them all. Gaslighting, deflection, projection, all in what, like word soup. I love it.
Well, thank you. I do my best to be able to call out the invisible dynamics, right? So we all know what we're doing.
And that's what I mean, because it's invisible and you're putting words to it. You're helping us identify by using those words. I love that.
Well, thank you. When has been a time that you had to work with somebody that they ended up being the person projecting or they were making the complaint? And to me, it sounds like
Mm.
putting the blame on somebody else, and you really had to work with them to kind of see that it was them.
So you said tell you about a time. I do some executive coaching. So without, do you mean that it with me personally or with the client?
Whatever came up.
That would be, I will say that it happened to me personally in my most recent job, pre-entrepreneur,
Mhm.
that I was having issues with someone, but I discovered after talking to someone smarter, like, I wish it was like work therapy, but I told someone else what was happening to me. And they said to me, I think your problem is you're not the problem. They want you to be the problem, but they're the problem. And like I was saying, like nothing I do pleases this person. Like every approach that I take, every meeting that we have, I'm trying to be proactive. It all ends the same. And when I realized that someone like me, I don't know if it was my energy or my personality type or even my physical appearance, like me, had harmed them and
Mm.
they were still sort of holding on to that trauma. And I reminded them of it. So they were doing all of these things in a defensive nature when I had not done anything to them yet. But I didn't recognize it immediately. I just kept trying to pinpoint what I had done because I'm a reformed people pleaser. And according to my strength finders, I'm a woo, winning others over. So I had an incessant desire to have positive affirmations and reaffirmations from people that I was in relationship with personally and professionally. And I could not figure out for the life of me while I was getting the ick from this person. So it turns out it had nothing to do with me.
So, one, I'm sorry that that happened, but two, thank you for sharing it because a lot of people don't realize that we are not in our reality if we have unresolved wounds. We have
Mm-hmm.
traumas and limited biases, and we have these different perspectives. They're literally coding our reality, and that's how we experience our entire world. And that's how
Yes.
we experience ourselves too, is through these distorted filters. So when
Yes.
there's stress in the workplace, whether it be at home or in the workplace, it doesn't matter. But we have an obligation to, like you were saying, work with an executive coach, have consultants from the outside come in, because maybe I'm not seeing it clearly. Because in reality,
Exactly.
there is no reality. There's perspective. A
Mm.
lot of people, they do have difficulty accepting that. But the second you can say, okay, well, I'm seeing this and experiencing this, but I could be completely wrong. Can you tell me what you're experiencing? Then we have a collaborative, relationship or conversation.
Oh, I love that. I love the fact that in that external perspective is what saw me through it. And that's what I think therapy is all about. It helps peel back the layers and dig a little deeper than you're prepared to go and ask the questions that you can't consider yourself. Recently, I've been saying the mindset that created the problem is not going to be the mindset that solves the problem. And oftentimes we need those additional perspectives, like what you just offered, to help solve it.
I love that. Say it again. The mindset that
Created the problem is not going to be the one that solves the problem.
absolutely. I love that. Maybe that's what the title of this show should be called, right? Because
Mindset shift.
yeah. If you don't change, you're not going to solve the problem. Like you have to change too. Even if and this is something that is so unfortunate, but even if we're the projection or we're the person who's being projected on,
Mm-hmm.
there's something about us. Usually it's not speaking up, not setting our boundaries, or
Mm-hmm.
like you had said, trying to win people over, that they're
Mm-hmm.
dumping their stuff
Yes.
onto us. So it takes both sides.
Yes, it does. And that's exactly what it feels like. They're dumping their stuff until you stop it. Like we teach people how to treat us, of course. And that's something that took me a really long time to learn. I won't say how long, then you'll know my age. But teaching people how to treat you is something that's critically important, because while they're busy dumping their stuff on you and they're sleeping at night and you're having sleepless nights, you're tossing and turning, right? Because you just took all of their stuff and you're carrying it around.
Yep.
Like we don't have our own stuff. Now you got your stuff and their stuff.
Yep. And usually either people pleasers or people who want to cater or enable or help. It doesn't
Yes,
matter. The point is those
exactly.
types of people, they take on other people's stuff.
Exactly.
So can you tell me when has been a time that you realized you couldn't do it anymore? And I'm just based off of what our 10 minutes of knowing each other. Uh, uh, Tell me a time, because it seems like you would take on a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
people's stuff, but when
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't anymore, there was too much packed on you, your stuff, their stuff, and you had to make a change.
When I realized it was unhealthy, I really was talking about myself when I mentioned the sleepless nights,
Mm-hmm.
and what happens when you have so much on your mind and you have this heavy burden, it starts to manifest itself physically. And I just didn't, I was feeling bad and I didn't know why. I wasn't sleeping well. I didn't know why. I started to have these long pauses prior to entering into the building. Like if you're facing something that you don't want to face, what is it that you don't want to face?
Right.
Right. And so when I realized that I was just feeling this unbelievable weight, in addition to I was drained physically and mentally, I just, probably with spiritual help, realized that I needed to do something different.
What did you do different?
I started setting boundaries and I started saying no. I
Right.
was, what I realized is not only was I allowing people to dump their stuff, some of it unsolicited, some of it was with my permission. Like
Yeah.
they would ask, "Can I dump my stuff?" And I would say, "Sure."
Mm.
And so I started to set boundaries and I started to say no. And I started to do it and not feel bad about it. Because whenever I really did realize that I had to say no, like I didn't like to say no, first of all, I hated to say no. Like I hated to say no. I always wanted to be the yes person. So once I realized that I couldn't say yes and I had to say no, I would feel bad about it. And I would want to make apologies for it. And I would want to make excuses for it and explain. So apologizing, excusing, and explaining something that I'm entitled to. I have every right to say no, but I didn't own my right to say no. So once I realized it was well within my rights as a human, as a person with limitations, to set boundaries and to say no, and that people around me who were particularly happy, i.e., my husband, I was like, why is he so carefree? Because he has boundaries and standards and he sticks to them.
I love that because you get to
It's
like,
like, wait, have you?
yeah,
And I said it to him one day. I said, "Is this how it feels? Have you been doing this all along?"
yeah, you don't have to take that stuff that people are dumping on. You just leave it to the side, you scooch to the side, you watch them
Yes,
go,
like a
and you're like,
Matrix
oh,
moment. You know how in Matrix, like the moment where we're, yeah, just like dodge, like
I
a
love the
Matrix
things
moment.
that what you said when you asked your husband, why are you so happy? And the happiest people are the ones that can say no, they can say boundaries, and
Yes,
they are okay when somebody calls them selfish for it.
yes.
They don't believe it.
Words do not matter to the smart boundary setting people who can say no and mean no.
Yeah.
um, Even allowing you to focus on your own plan. When you plan something and someone else comes along with a different plan and you forego your plan for their plan, you're putting their plan in front of your plan. That was something that I was guilty of doing as well.
Right. And that makes sense too, because you're wanting to, people please or wanting to
Yes.
make them feel good too. Because sometimes it's just like you want to encourage other people, so you want to give them what they want, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're actually meeting their needs. Do
Right.
you see a lot of this in leadership?
Not with successful, strong leaders. I see it with some of my clients who struggle with setting boundaries and prioritizing themselves, and also balance, which are things, by the way. The reason why I'm having these conversations is not because I'm a trained therapist like you, but from a consulting perspective, which is actually what I call it. I call it leadership consulting. I'm actually asking them to consider the pitfalls that I personally have experienced. And then if it gets deeper than that and they have areas of opportunity that are beyond my ability to consult, then I do encourage them to seek counseling or therapy to really work on diving into the issues that are keeping them from setting those boundaries, finding that balance, because some people feel bad about picking themselves. So the difference with me is once I realize, is that what the he, we, they, that's what he's been doing. He's been saying it's okay to be me. Well, it's okay to be me too. I'm going to try a page from that book. But some people, even when you tell them it's okay to choose themselves, knowing how to do it is not intuitive because they've spent so long not doing it. They need someone to talk them through what that looks like, what questions to ask, and how to begin to prioritize themselves, how to find the balance. And someone, oh, there's no such thing as balance. You may not know what balance is, but I think we all know what it looks like when we're overburdened.
Right.
So even if you don't find the balance, what about relief? Can we call it that? Can you find some relief from your overscheduled, overburdened life?
Yeah, and you don't know what it feels like unless you've had it at some point too. So you have to find that.
Exactly.
We all, I believe, need some deep programming to let go and prune the things that we don't need anymore that are not helping us. Even if we develop them at some point in our life to help us succeed, we
Mm-hmm.
may not need them now.
Yes. I think what you just said, shed or you're dead, is a
Oh,
change. I talk about change management, and
yeah.
change comes with growth and being able to slob off the things that you don't need. And the term let go is one of the really big things that comes with that. Letting go of the things that you don't need that are keeping you from the things that you do.
Right.
I did a fall fusion series for Toastmasters last year, and I did research on leaves and why they fall and how it's a cycle for nature. Well, the same thing with our lives, and the same thing with we're talking about physical beings, humans, animals, whether it's hair, skin, feathers,
Mhm.
even crustaceans. If you don't shed that outer shell that you've outgrown, then you're not going to be able to grow into something new and different and better and stronger. So shed or you're dead, evolve or die.
I love that. And it's a beautiful metaphor too, because you're literally shedding your old skin. You're not the same person. You evolve, you develop, and you grow. And you are so surprised after you've done that a few times because there's layers, right?
Exactly.
When you look back and you're like, oh my God, 5 years ago, I was a completely different
Ex-
person.
that really applies to me,
Yeah.
specifically that number, 5 years. 2020 pandemic, I started DMX. That 5 years ago, I was a totally different person. I
Mm.
was a totally different person 5 years ago. Shedding those expectations. So you call them invisible dynamics
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
Expectations are also invisible, just
Yep.
like nonverbal communication. It's something that people put, we don't feel, we don't see it, but they're there.
They are. And you want to know something cool? So the techniques that I use are all embedded in the nervous system. My specialty is nervous science,
Ooh,
right? So we use your optical nerves, which connect to the rest of your nervous system. The nerves go all throughout your entire body, and
mm,
it helps you experience life. Every one of your senses is run through your sensory system, your nervous system. So
nice.
as you start to reprocess and clear out your nervous system of unprocessed gunk, whether it be traumas, limitations, expectations, human dynamics, behaviors, all that old programming, even if you were working on yourself with an executive coach, not a therapist, just working on yourself at a really deep level, what starts to happen is those old filters not only come off, but you look different. So you're saying, like, with the way that we hold the invisibility, if you look at a picture of you today versus a picture of you 5 years ago when you were in that old skin, you can tell the difference
You
because
can,
it's shedding.
you can. And people who have seen me now, who knew me then, have also said, and it's so funny. I was like, well, if you thought I looked miserable, was there any reason you didn't mention it?
Help the girl out.
Help me, help. But I do think though when I get that it affirms that I made the right decision.
Yeah.
that I am doing the right thing. When people can say that they see a difference in who I am now versus who I was then. I was in a situation, and this is why I want to talk to people about change and transition and doing what you love to do, is because why not? Life is a finite time. We don't know when it's going to end, and why waste time doing things that don't bring us passion and joy?
Absolutely. Or holding on to those things that are taking away our joy.
Oh, say it again. Let go.
Yep, let
We
go.
gotta let go. We gotta go. And I love what you said, expectations, trauma, and limitations. Is that what you said?
You're talking about what we let go of. It's
Uh-huh.
traumas. We're talking about expectations, the human dynamics, but also limiting beliefs.
Oh, limiting beliefs. That's the one. I was listening. I was like, oh, that's good.
Well, we don't realize how much is stuck in our nervous system and how much is working against us when we're trying to move forward personally and professionally, but it's all just stuck in there. And
Oh,
so when we realize that maybe what I'm thinking and feeling is not reality, I need
mhm.
to have somebody on the outside of me call me out or just a sounding board or something, right? Even journaling sometimes helps, right? Or
Oh,
sitting,
wow.
things come to the surface, and the more we work on them, the more layers of the false us really gets to be left behind.
That's good. I like that. The false
Before
layers.
we end, I was wondering if you could tell us what themes you're seeing in the leadership space that the change, because you said you work a lot with change, right?
Mhm,
Change
mhm.
management. What
Yes.
themes are you seeing right now that are really needing change?
The things that I'm saying is in the old days, our motivating factors used to be money, salary, promotion.
Mm.
Post pandemic, our current mindset, people want to find fulfillment and connection. And we have to change how we do business. And that's difficult for organizations who've been very transactional in nature to change how they treat people, even how they reward and develop. So that's the theme that I'm saying, that the employee experience, which of course goes from recruitment to retirement, the in between, like the dash in your professional career, what that looks like for organizations is very different than it used to be because people are no longer motivated by the same thing. So cultures have to change, knowing that $1.6 trillion is spent annually on disengaged employees
Yeah.
because they're looking for that purpose and that connection. So
Mm.
shifting the mindset of the leaders to really focusing in on the human aspects of what drives us, what motivates us, because the teams want to be recognized, they want to be appreciated, and they want to be developed. But that looks very different today than it did 10 years ago,
Right.
15 years ago, 5 years ago. They're looking for more opportunity to give back. They're looking for more opportunities to connect. They definitely want to know how their work fits with the organizational goals. So I'm seeing that there's a mindset shift on what rewards and recognition look like because that disengagement and building a positive culture that employees want to be a part of is going to slow down the main thing that people are experiencing, which is retention issues, because when they don't find it, they leave.
They absolutely do. And I am actually going to bring out a book. It is by Vishen Lakhiani, and it's called Buddha and the
Mm.
Badass. And
Ooh.
what you just said, it's actually the Buddha and the Badass, the secret spiritual art of succeeding at work. He mentioned something that really resonated with me that you just made me think of because business owners are having no choice. If they really want a successful business in the way that society is moving, they want to be treated like people. And
Yes.
something that the author of this book says is that companies are no longer capable of asking for their people to invest in the culture before the company will invest in the culture or the visions and the passions of their people. So it
Yes.
has to be that way. You have to feed into them. You have to believe in them. You have to find out what's important to them. And then you've won them over. Now we can have a collaborative relationship. And now I can ask for you to buy into my vision as a business owner.
Exactly. That really does resonate with the exact theme that I'm talking about. I mean, that perfectly states what I've been seeing and experiencing as I've been doing the consulting engagements. Because when you show them that you care,
Yeah.
then they'll know and they'll produce because of it. They
Absolutely.
don't care what you know until they know what you care. So don't try to give me goals and targets and metrics. Let me know that you care about me as a person, and we'll go from there.
I love that. Until they know you care. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. This was really good. It felt like chatting. I can't believe this is our first meeting. It feels like you're an old friend.
Yeah, right? Like it just kind of flows that way naturally. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining. Your time and your focus are your most valuable currencies, so thank you for giving that to us today. Our guest contact information will be in the description below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But please, if you know someone who's struggling, stop right now and send this video to them. The struggle behind growth and success is real, and they need the support to make it, because the strongest minds are the ones that healed. So don't forget, lead louder, feel deeper, and stay resilient. Until next time, this is your host, Dr. Campbell, on the Resilient Minds podcast.